Like, you know, like I kind of just got used to seeing watching myself.
Yes.
Because I never see how I look, like talking or anything,
Sure.
right? So it was very like weird at first, and I was like, oh god, I can't watch this. And then I was like, no, I have to.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I think it really I picked up on a lot of things, like the way that I don't know, the tone of my voice, like the facial expressions. I was like, oh god, like why am I doing that? And like all these things.
Okay.
And like I don't know, like it was good. Like I think it gave like, I don't know, made me look at it from like a different perspective.
Good. And were you able to see from your first pass to your last pass of the growth?
Yeah, it was definitely very different. I think I was more like in the character, like dropped in the second, like
Yeah,
the last one, whatever. Yeah.
No, I love it. And I think like one of the biggest things that stuck out to me last day, now that we're talking about it, I'm remembering like we were talking about, I gave you the note of like not being one noted.
Yeah.
But you had given yourself that note prior, and you basically were like, I don't feel like even vocally like there's any dynamic to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like when you speak to me, you have like this great energy and this great, and I'm like, I want that in your work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that this was a choice that you made, but sometimes actors, either as a byproduct of nerves or of like feeling like it's a tight framework or wanting to play it safe, because it's easier to play it safe than like take a risk.
Yeah, of course.
That's why sometimes we like shut off like the awesome energy and personality that you have. But you know, if an actor's like, well, Sarah, I'm scared of being too big, for example.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, let's not make that a problem until I say it's a problem.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, and again, I'm not saying you're saying that, but sometimes that's a fear actors have. If they've never done this medium, they come in here and I'm like, here's the framework. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they've like heard from another acting teacher. They're like, oh, well, another coach told me. And I'm like, cool, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because every day you're a different actor. Like you coming in here today, you're going to be different than you were a month ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wonderful. What are some things, this is the other hard question, it could just be words, concepts, ideas that you remember that we learned in our first session?
Oh, well, one noted, words.
Perfect.
Do
you remember this thing?
The frame.
Called the Golden
Din box.
Frame.
Golden frame.
You said that.
The golden frame, right?
Cool.
Okay. I just remember like the piece of advice that you gave me, that if there's no breakdown, you always want to research a little bit, but you never want to watch.
Why?
Because you don't want to be not copying other people's work, and also in the future when you're going to a new audition, you're not gonna, the project isn't like done yet, so you're not gonna have anything to watch, and your body's gonna like be used to that.
I will say that a couple times since I've last seen you, I've been coaching on some like remakes.
Oh.
You know? And I'm like, okay, that makes, like, you actually probably should watch the OG in that case.
Yeah.
Even if you're recreating a character. But yeah, other than that, like one specific circumstance, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Eyeline.
What's an eyeline?
It's like where you look when you're not looking at like the other person that you're like talking to.
Isn't acting a very difficult thing to speak about?
Yes, it's so complex.
And whenever I ask questions, like, it's hard to talk about it. Like, so the good thing is, unlike school, like I think when we're brought up in school, we're taught to like answer correctly.
Yeah.
I love that we're just like talking through it because it's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I was like, just say it. An eyeline is when there's multiple people or things in a scene that we need to look at. So obviously, me being your reader, you're obviously looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
But then let's say, so the obvious example would be like you and I are in a scene, and then your mom comes in.
Yeah.
And we'll throw her over here.
Okay.
But let's say it could be. You look over and you're like, oh my god, there's a stray dog. Like that's not a person.
Yeah,
you still have to look somewhere for that.
Of course, yeah.
Or people will be like, their first day at a new school. Technically, an eyeline to that, if you're like walking into your first day at a new school, you might be like just taking in the environment in general.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's that golden frame is helpful to be like, okay, if I have to look at like the reader and then like the other person, make sure it stays within that golden frame.
Not like,
and just remember the equaling moment of the golden frame is the camera, so it's both sides, right? Yeah. Otherwise, actors make the mistake of putting all their eye lines over here, and I'm like, you're using 50% of the frame.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What do you say if you forget a line?
Line.
Yeah. Why do you just say that one word?
You say the line because then the other reader like repeats their line to you over and over. No, repeats your line to you.
The first couple words.
The first couple words. Over and over until you get it, right?
No, just once.
No, just once.
So you just get to, if all of a sudden like they give you the first couple words and you're still like, just call line again.
Oh, you say line. Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Sorry.
Why would we just say that one word instead of, oops, what's the line?
Because you don't want to drop out of your character.
There
you go. Okay.
I know, it's hard right now because sometimes it's like only a week between the first session, so I'm asking to go back, but this is good, right?
Yeah.
What do I say to let you know the scene is starting?
Rolling.
Cool.
Action.
There's three things.
Yeah.
Rolling's the middle one.
There's some, I remember this. It was like we said, it's like the yellow light.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, what do we say? What's the big word on set to let us know we're filming? Like
Action.
Beautiful.
Right?
So we have rolling action.
And there's one word before it.
One word before it. Starts with an S.
Steady? No.
It is ST. Stand by.
Stand by rolling action, yes. Okay,
Wonderful.
there you go. And they're really fast right after each other.
Mm-hmm. Stand by rolling action, right? Rolling, what does that mean?
Like the camera's rolling?
Yeah, so like really, if there is any moment to drop out, that is definitely not it. Action is, and this is important because obviously we all know what action means, but it's like speak when you're ready.
Okay.
So why I say that specifically is because in both cases, you do not have the first line.
First line, yeah.
But there will be so many cases where you have the first line.
Yeah.
So a lot of actors, when they hear action, they're like, Bryce, you have to talk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, you kind of have the power to like take as long as you want of like creating performance before you speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if your character is like texting their boyfriend and then their best friend's there and then they look up and they're like, oh, he just broke up with me. Like, instead of just being like, action, he just broke up with me, you can have a moment being like, oh, like having that moment, and then we're all watching, and silence is so beneficial on camera. Like, I know that's a random example, I don't know where I pulled that from, but like, let's say that that's the scenario. If I'm watching you in the frame and you're just like so pissed looking at your phone, I'm like, you haven't spoken yet, but I'm like, what is she thinking?
Yeah. Like,
who's she texting?
Mm-hmm.
Right when we speak, we become infinitely less interesting. You know?
Yeah.
I always say it's like a person at a party who like, everyone's like talking, like being rambunctious, loud, and then there's like someone who's just like kind of quiet, and you're like, what's your story? Like, who are you? You know?
Definitely.
So good. So speak when you're ready is action, rolling, filming. Stand by, what do I expect you to do in it?
Get ready, like, or be ready.
Be ready. Yeah, thank you for that correction. So for me, get ready, and you're going to laugh because I actually see so many actors do this, and it makes me LOL. Where they're like, I'm like, stand by, and they're like, it's like a Sharpay Evans High School Musical moment. I'm not even joking.
Really?
I think it's a thing that a lot of people learn in like theater, like breath, which is great for the theater.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what this is doing to anybody. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
And especially if I'm like nervous, like this doesn't calm me down.
Yeah, no.
It just makes me feel like I'm about to do something really dramatic. So be ready is like be doing the opening.
No, not scene. No, moment. Right. And that's when we were like, oh, with your hands or something below the frame or like looking somewhere. Okay, yes.
Good.
Coming back.
Yeah, so it's like, everyone's like, oh, and thank you for not saying this, but a lot of people are like, oh, Sarah, my opening moment, like I just have to be the character. And I'm like, you don't just like step in and like become a character, you know?
Yeah.
I don't believe that like you become someone new because that's crazy, right? I believe that you are like, character is you under imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
So this character is you as if your childhood best friend got sent to juvie for murder and your other best friend should be popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what allows you to give yourself to work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the opening moment is just like you said, it's like physical to like drop in.
Mm-hmm.
In both cases, it's kind of like the Walker vibe.
Yeah, like looking for something.
Or in the first thing though, we mixed it up. I think we did something else. Did we text?
No, it was both Walker.
Cool. You can go either way with the first one because it doesn't specify.
Anything. Yeah.
Second one does. So in the one where it specifies, just like follow it.
Okay.
In the one where it doesn't, you can kind of just like have fun with whatever you
do
want.
whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So by definition, what is an opening moment then? It's what you do before
the scene starts.
Great. And getting more specific, before the first line is said.
Okay. Yeah.
So if an opening moment is what we do before the first line is said, what is a
closing moment? It's what you do right after the last line is said.
Well, we're waiting for
cut.
Yeah, and then we covered. So again, it's like that tendency that we all have of like, if we're not doing something at the end, we feel awkward, and then we drop out the scene. Right?
Exactly, and we don't want to do that until they say cut.
Good. Now, the only thing I want to remind you about an opening moment, I always say do something physical because so many actors are in their heads or they're nervous, and if you give yourself task, it's like you distract your body.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm in an audition and like I'm nervous and people are just like staring at me, I'm like, if I'm like at the beginning, okay, my character is going through their wallet trying to find $20, then I'm not worried about the audition, I'm just trying to do the thing.
Yeah, okay.
But some scenes, like in both these, you're doing your own thing, then they come up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Some scenes pick up mid-conversation.
Okay.
Have you ever seen this in movies where like, it flashes, it's like two people talking, and then it flashes to another scene, and then it comes back to them.
Yeah.
And they're like somewhere new in the conversation.
Yeah.
So what's hard about that is to you as the audience, it feels like, oh, they've been talking that whole time, but obviously they haven't.
Yeah.
So what do you think you do in your opening moment if it's like mid-conversation or mid-argument or something? That's a hard question.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's a new concept.
Yeah.
Just give yourself a thought that makes it feel like we're in the middle of talking.
Okay.
So if it's mid-conversation, Let's say you have the first line and you're like, ugh, you're looking at a menu and you're like, I hate pickles.
Mm-hmm.
I would just imagine the other person was like, hey, what are you going to get? I don't know, I hate
pickles, yeah.
Just imagine what their line was that prompted your first line.
Yeah.
If it, like, picks up and we're, like, in the middle of, like, an argument or something, just give yourself the thought. It could be like, I'm going to kick your ass. Or whatever, yeah?
Something that, like, causes you to say what you want to say, right?
Yes.
Like,
so I have coined that. It's not, like, an official term. It's just what I call it, a drop line.
Okay.
Because for me, that's just, like, what drops you into the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Great. How do you feel revisiting these today?
Still a little bit nervous.
Yeah,
and we talked about it. It's always going to be, the nerves are always going to be there.
Sure.
Yeah, so still a little bit nervous, but a lot better. And, like, excited, to be honest, excited to try it out again with all the information that I learned last class, with the research that I did, like, everything, just to see how it goes.
Yeah, and, like, knowing that, like, literally you're not going to take a step back. I know semesters are like, I'm like, you're not.
Yeah.
Right? When you're watching it back, the final thing I want to go over, and then I want to start with scene 2 today.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
So you were talking about watching it back, and I loved your, like, how candid you were with me, because you're like, I'm like, why is my face doing that? Because we all do that.
Yeah.
And then you said something great. You were like, after a while, I got, like, used to it.
Yeah.
And you watched it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So when we're watching it back, just remember looking through the lens of a casting director.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm, like, casting the show, I'm looking at, like, is this believable? Yes or no? Am I being pulled into the world? Like, is it interesting or am I bored?
Yeah.
You know, because even myself, I'm guilty of this too. Like, if I'm watching back on my self-tapes, I'm like, why is my mouth doing that? Why are my... And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm aware that it's me.
Yeah.
I have to step outside of the performance.
Pretend like it's not you.
Yeah, pretend that you're casting the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, and it's hard because you actually have to be, like, really critical. And you have to be like, oh no, I'm bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
If you are, you know?
Like, she's not portraying, like, enough.
Yeah.
Something like that,
Yeah, I mean, we want to remember the first 5 to 10 seconds are the most important.
Mm-hmm.
For twofold. Number one, like, it kind of depends if we're going to keep watching after that.
Yeah.
But number two, as an actor from the inside, if you're not in it off the top, it's really hard to get in it.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
You told me you used to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
So, like, what is it called? Like a routine, I guess?
Yeah, routine, yeah.
So let's say you, like, totally mess up off the top of the routine. It's harder, I'm guessing, to, like, really get your confidence and your ability back in the moment.
Definitely, yeah, no, for sure.
So think of it like that, right?
Same thing, yeah.
Cool. I'm proud of my gymnastics analogy.
Yeah, that was so good. You got all the terms right and everything. Look at
Thank you so much. I was like, I'm going to insult you by not knowing this story.
No, are you kidding?
Oh my god. Did we slate last day? I totally forgot.
Yeah, we slated.
How was that for you?
It was good.
Can we just do another one?
Yeah, it was my name, my age, and my height.
Yes, good memory, but also they're always going to change it. So
okay.
the thing is you never need to remember it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
You just need to remember the function of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like why we do it. The only thing you will always say, forever and always, is your name.
Okay, yeah, well, right, because you told me age after you're 18, you can't, like, they don't have to, no, they can't ask you or something like that.
Yeah, because then you're just like, because they only need to know your age for your working hours on set.
Yeah.
So once you're 18, it's like you can work.
Whatever, yeah, of course, yeah.
Cool, so today let's do name, height, location.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. Slate, please.
Jada Katsukevich, 163 centimeters, Toronto, Ontario.
Action.
Hi, I'm Jada Katsukevich. I'm 163 centimeters, and my location is Toronto, Ontario.
Hey. Sorry, I had to run off before. I had to meet with the principal to discuss my adjustment, and yes, it was as painful as it sounds.
I have to get to class, so...
Oh, okay, sure. Is this yours? Any pictures of me in there? Sorry, I'm just a little nervous. Can't we just, like, chat just for a couple minutes?
Chat? You want to chat? Sure. Let's chat. What should we chat about first? Ooh, I know. What about my lost childhood? Or my journey into the wacky, delightful world of post-traumatic stress?
I'm sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine.
No, you can't. You weren't there.
I tried to stay in touch at first. Didn't you get any of my letters?
Yeah. They, burned. Great.
Joe, please, it's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Like, it's not as if I had a reason.
What, the little voices in your head told you to do it?
I'm not some psycho. Come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone.
I know that you were never a big Aunt Judith fan, so what? She say something to you, do something? If you had a real reason, why don't you just tell it to the police?
Because I couldn't. I can't tell anyone that ever. Can you just show me how to get to my next class? This place is like a giant maze.
Psychology with Miss Fisk. That's my next class too.
Oh, well, lead the way then. God, what's that look?
It's nerve-wracking.
But way better than the last day, no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like better.
Yeah. Well, even in terms of like, here's the thing, is like I talked to you about like embracing your nerves. Like as long as you're dealing with your nerves properly, we don't see that you're nervous.
Yeah.
Unless it happens in the scene where like the character's nervous, that's fine. Just use it in that case. You didn't appear nervous, and that's the most important thing. Again, I told you, like I've been doing this for a very long time, and I get nervous before every freaking audition.
Yeah.
You know, the only time I don't get nervous when it's the self tape because I'm doing it like at home with like a reader on suit. You know, because it's like whatever. So as long as we're not like seeing it hinder your performance, which it didn't, that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, let's get into it. So off the top, remind me what your goal is.
Why are you talking to me?
Try to figure out who's talking to you, but let's make it a bit stronger, which I think actually might be, because you don't ask him.
No.
So I'm just going to hold up. So to make a strong goal, let's look at what she says. I think if you're trying to figure out what someone's talking to you, you will ask them questions.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Do you want to keep talking to him?
I think, like, I want to, because I am responding, even though I'm, like, not giving full conversation, like, I'm being a little dry. But, like, I think deep down I do want to talk to him.
Great. I think you're not wrong, but I think at the very beginning, your goal is actually just to get him to leave you alone.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Only because, like, let's be real, you're a polite person, so you know this. Like, if someone came up to you and you were like, I have to take class, so shut down.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, okay. And then he keeps going.
He keeps trying, yeah.
And and then you stop responding. And like, if we don't want to talk to someone, I think if you wanted to talk to him then, you would respond.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
But then, what does he say that triggers you being like, okay, let's talk?
Like, you know me, and like, you know that I would never do that, or like that line.
Great, and we're gonna get there, but just at the beginning, I think it's just when he's like, can we just chat?
Oh, yeah. And that just, like, pulls me off, because, like, you want to chat with me after everything you've done. Like, what?
Yeah, and you see an opportunity. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, let's play. You know? Great. And then what does your goal become? So at the beginning, you're just like, leave me alone.
Yeah, don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me.
And then it switches to, like, why do you want to chat with me? Or, like...
Well, you've been bottling this up for years.
Mm-hmm. Or, like, maybe an opportunity to just let it out.
To let it out. Good, so that is what you're doing for the purpose of what? Remembering that our goal has to be something we get from the person in front of us.
Yeah.
I need Danny to blank. What's the
Maybe
blank?
know why. Like, I need Danny to tell me why he did it.
That's a great goal.
Yeah.
So again, no right or wrong. Like, you're not wrong by being like, I have to let it all out.
Yeah, but still. Like,
Well, it's just like self-serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if my goal in this session is just like to teach or to rant, it's like, I don't need you. I could technically just do that to a bunch of random people.
Yeah.
I need you to improve, and you need me to learn things. So that's why the relationship works, right?
Yeah.
Be aware of this in your day-to-day conversations. Like, you're always speaking to someone for a function.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're just like gossiping with friends, like to feel closer to them.
There's always a reason, yeah.
There's always a reason we do everything in life. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah.
Especially in our scene work, because if we don't have a reason, the audience is like, why the fuck are we here then?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Great. But again, much better. So off the top, I want you to be like way more stone cold with me.
Okay.
And I want you to use the frame a bit more by way of like, you say I have to get to class.
Mm-hmm.
If you
So
say
maybe...
go, and he'll pull you back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was exactly what you did. It's just a pivot. It doesn't have to be like a full turn and fear of leaving frame. Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Beautiful. Now, you said a really great part that I love here. We spoke about, come on, unless it's like, come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about that line hits you? You've just been kind of berating him up until that point.
Like, it hits close to home.
Because he's right.
Because, like, I do know him, like, very well.
Yes, and, like, you loved him. Like, he was your best friend.
Yeah.
And, like, we can imagine as TV and film goes, you guys obviously end up together. So, like, you know, there is something, you have a soft spot for him. And you did play a beat. Do you know what I mean by, like, a beat?
Like, take a second?
Yeah.
Get right.
I think a lot of people just, like, throw it around. A beat, is a moment in a scene of silence.
Silence, yeah.
But just making sure that we're infusing it with something.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's a decision or a discovery or a thought. right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in these sides, but there are so many sides where you'll just see like your line and then it's like beat.
Beat. Yeah. It says.
And the actor will just like pause because it's there. And I'm like, well, no, it has to be there for a reason. Otherwise, it's an empty moment.
Of course, yeah.
Cool.
It doesn't want to look like you just like don't know what to say next. Like it needs to.
Sure, unless that is the beat. Unless your character being like, how do I approach this?
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, we don't just want it to be like, and pause.
Yeah.
And now I keep talking. It's what? So I want more of a moment, more of a beat, I should say. Come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone. Where you hear that,
and I'm like,
and it warms your cold heart a little bit, and then you decide to give me that opportunity about Aunt Judith.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I know you. Yeah, you never liked her. So what did she do? And really ask these questions.
Okay.
Because you're giving them a chance. Like, did she do something? Was it self-defense? Did she say something that triggered you? And then he doesn't respond, and that's when you're like, okay, I'm fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you actually give him this beautiful opportunity.
Yeah.
And then he just like doesn't take it. Good natural reason. Why don't you tell us the police? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that like a chance. Give him a chance almost, yeah.
And it's also just like a speed thing. Like I don't know if you feel this way, but every actor does, and often it is a byproduct of nerves. But also like it's a time vortex up here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the lights, the mic, the camera, like everything's on you.
Yeah.
That's why I feel so pressuring. That like if we take a moment of silence, we're like it's too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just encourage you to like know that if it feels like you took a moment, you probably need to take another moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like you'll watch it and you're like, oh, that take was only like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
But it felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So let's take that time. At the end, what is your closing moment?
He goes, I say called you Miss Fisk, blah, blah, and then he goes, okay, then lead the way.
Great, so what should you do then?
Should I start leading the way?
You should lead the way.
Right? Yeah.
Now, you know how we talked about, like, you never want to start the scene with an empty frame.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're stepping in, it's like step back.
Okay.
Step forward.
Uh-huh.
Like not starting over there because, well, then you're all over there and I have to follow you and it's weirdly lit and stuff.
Yeah.
Or people are like, I'm just going to walk into the frame. And I'm like, if I'm a casting director and I'm watching your self-tape and I open up on a blank blue curtain, I'm like, click, next, go up.
Oh my god. Like
totally, right? Well, because they're just like, what?
Yeah.
Whereas if you start back here, even though you're not totally like on the mark yet, you still have our actor in frame, and then a step forward just looks like you're entering.
Yeah, okay.
The only time you can have an empty frame is at the end.
Okay.
Because it's over.
Okay.
So you are welcome to depart.
Okay.
Just make sure, 2 things. Number 1, before you, like, you're not just leaving while the last line's being said.
Of course.
So many people are just like, okay, I'm glad you said of course, but so many people are just like, okay, like, whatever. And I'm like, no, we still need a moment of you, the actor, before you leave. So he says lead the way then.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be seen walking to class with him?
Definitely not.
So you can give that look of like, ugh,
mm-hmm.
and then you can leave.
Yeah, like
so we still have a nice moment with you.
Yeah.
The only other thing is get all the way off to the curtain.
Okay.
I only say that because so many people are like, lead the way then. They're like,
step on step.
Did you cut it, Sarah? And I'm like, oh my god, it's so awkward. Get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Great. Okay, let's do it again.
Okay,
so in this one, I just want a bigger decision to give me that opportunity and soften on the Aunt Judith part.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to leave at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, I don't care if you turn away. I don't care if you barely look at me. Like, just make it very clear we're not going to talk.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Hey. Sorry I had to run off before I had to meet the principal to discuss my adjustment. And yes, it was as painful as it sounds.
I have to get to class, so...
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Is this yours? Any pictures of me in there? Sorry, I'm just being nervous. Can't we just chat just for like a couple minutes?
Chat? You want to chat? Okay, fine. Let's chat. What should we chat about? Oh, I know. What about my lost childhood? Or my journey into the wacky, delightful world of post-traumatic stress?
I'm sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine.
No, you can't. You weren't there.
I tried to stay in touch at first. Didn't you get any of my letters?
Yeah, they burned great.
Joe, please. It's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Look, it's not as if I had a reason, okay?
I know you were never a big Aunt Judith fan.
Good, let's pause here. So, voices in your head.
Oh, right.
Okay, on to the working best. It was already so much better. So much. Hey! Sorry, I had to run off before. I had to meet with the principal to discuss my adjustment. And yeah, it was as painful as it sounds.
I have to get to class, so...
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Hey, is this yours? Any pictures of me in there? Great. That was already so much better. Did you feel the difference in that? It was so small, but it was everything.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Do you remember the concept of active listening?
Yes. Active, like you want to actually be listening, and you don't want to be like, okay, she said the line, didn't even listen to it, and I just said my next line.
Beautiful.
You actually want to be listening.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. I think I shared with you last time. People are like, oh, I want to show that I'm listening.
Yeah, but just listen.
Yeah. With a show and just freaking do it.
Yeah.
Right? Again, easier said than done. But active listening, reminding ourselves, why I use that instead of reactions is because active listening kind of implies that you're actively forming opinions as people are speaking. So right now I'm rolling on this. You'll see when you're watching it back, you're not doing a lot facially, which is great because in life we don't. We're not like really showing.
Yeah.
You're just actually like listening to me.
Yeah.
Yeah? And if I was really nice to you all of a sudden, you would have an opinion. And if I was a total bitch to you all of a sudden, you would have an opinion, right?
Of course, yeah.
Now, he says, hey, and that was great. You clocked that because we spoke about it. He says, sorry I had to run off before. I had to meet the principal to discuss my adjustment. What is your opinion of him mocking this so much?
Like, I don't like that because it's serious. Like, what the
Yeah, like, dude, of course you need an adjustment. You just came back from freaking jail.
Yeah, no, literally.
Right? And guess what's painful as it sounds? Ethics class, that was great. I love the term. That was all it was. And he's like, okay, sure. Good. He accepted it. And then he keeps talking. Right? What does he say? He says this.
Yeah, is this yours?
Great. What is stupid about that question?
Like, of course it's mine.
You were just in it. Like,
In my locker. Like, no, it's some strangers.
And then he goes even crazier. Any pictures of me in there?
Like, definitely not.
Definitely not. Like, his jokes are not funny. Cool? So it's just like, what you're doing on your moments is great. I just want the listening.
To be even when you're saying stuff.
Even when I'm saying it. Now, you have really good instincts, and I shared this with you before. So what I mean by that is when you're watching it back, some actors go totally blank. You don't go totally blank because you know that you're supposed to like look like, not even look like you're listening, like you are listening, but you're not totally being specific with opinions.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so that's where we're going to put our focus, yeah? Great. Okay. Like in life, we think in thoughts, not emotion. So we're not like confused, happy, sad. Only actors do that, right?
Yeah.
In life, we're like, that's not freaking funny. When he's like any pictures, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, of course, that's my freaking locker. Cool?
Yeah.
Good. So trust that you can have a thought process and you'll still remember your next line.
Okay, yeah.
Cool? And you don't have to memorize it. Like every take, it'll be a different thought.
Yeah, okay,
Cool?
yeah.
Good. Okay, let's go from the top. Nice. Hey, so sorry I had to run off before. I had to meet with the principal to discuss my adjustment. And yes, it was as painful as it sounds.
I have to get to class, so...
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Hey, is this yours? Any pictures of me in there? Sorry. I'm just a little nervous. Can't we just chat just for like a couple minutes?
Chat? You want to chat? Okay, sure, let's chat. What should we chat about first? Oh, I know. What about my lost childhood? Or my journey into the wacky, delightful world of post-traumatic stress?
I'm sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine.
No, you can't. You weren't there.
I tried to stay in touch at first. Didn't you get any of my letters?
Yeah. They, burned. Great.
Good. I'm going to go back to I'm sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine. And at that point, because your goal becomes...
Yeah.
Remind me, what does your goal become?
Before the heartfelt part?
Yeah, like this whole part that we're going through
Okay.
right now.
Like, stop talking to me.
Well, now you've engaged him after the chat part.
Oh, right. So why are you talking to me? No. Why did you do what you did?
Cool. Tell me why you did what you did.
Yeah.
Great. And I think that's, even in the heartfelt part, that's still the same goal.
Yeah, no,
it's just
of
a different
course.
tactic.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
This is key, yeah? We have to keep changing how we behave if we're not getting what we want.
Yeah, of course.
So why I'm sharing this, and I know it's, some scenes there's like one goal, right? I think in scene 1 there essentially like is one goal.
Yeah.
In scene 2, it's kind of hard because the beginning's so shut down and then you give them a chance, so there kind of has to be 2.
Yeah.
I never want more than 2 goals because the goal's just there so you know where to point your performance.
Yeah, of course.
Just be clear what line it changes on.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Because then you go from driving the car in one direction to another direction.
Okay, yeah.
Cool? So why I'm asking you again what your goal is because at the beginning it makes sense to be so disconnected from him because you're trying to get him to shut up and leave
And
you
then
alone.
you need to like be a little.
But then when
more...
you need an explanation, I would really, not that you can't naturally look away, but like when you're saying your lines, I want you to connect
of course,
and
yeah.
be intentional with him. Cool? So I'm going to do a pickup. Let's go from, I'm sure it's been rough, I can't even begin to imagine. No, you can't, you weren't here. And challenge him with that. Cool?
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Stand by and action. I'm sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine.
No, you can't. You weren't there.
I tried to stay in touch at first. Didn't you get any of my letters?
Yeah. They, burned. Great.
Joe, please, it's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Look, it's not as if I just...
What? Oh.
I had a... Good, so you can't jump in yet because you haven't heard him.
Yes,
so that's...
yes.
So sometimes when the actor interrupts, I'm like, I don't give a shit if it still makes sense because it's your audition, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're jumping in too early, it's because we're anticipating our next moment.
Right, and we don't want to because we want to be actively listening.
Because in life, you can't
know what to say before they said it. Sorry, oh god.
Oh my god, don't apologize. It's such a... I'm glad things like that happen in here so that we can learn from them, yeah?
Mm-hmm, of course.
So let's go from, Joe, please, I'm still the same boy you grew up with. I almost want you to find that funny.
Okay.
Like
what?
Clearly you're not.
Of
You
course.
murdered someone.
Yeah.
Cool. And then he goes, look, as if I just... It's not as if I just beat. I had a reason, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you insult him with that voices in your headline.
Yeah.
Okay? Cool.
Okay.
Let's go from, Joe, please, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And action. Joe, please, it's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Look, it's not as if I just... I had a reason, okay?
What? The little voices in your head told you to do it?
I'm not some psycho. Come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone.
Yeah, I know you were a never big Aunt Judith fan. So what? She said something to you? Do something?
Good, pause here. So, two things. And I'm being super nitpicky today, but hopefully you're loving this.
No, I am.
You glanced at the camera again.
Oh my god.
And do you know why?
No, I don't even realize that I do.
That's okay. That's why I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
it's not to be like bad. It's to be like, cool, you did it again, don't do it. You're like, yeah, cool. I'm just doing the part that when you're watching it back, you'll see, and you'll be like, oh. Yeah? The more that we're aware, the more we'll get rid of it.
Of course.
I know it's happening right now because we've created the locker in this opening moment.
There's a switch.
You keep wanting to come back here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from the time that, once you're done being, leaving from the moment from chat, it's, conversation.
Yeah, of course, because you do look at someone when you're talking to them, right?
Yeah, and you're going to see, your body has just kind of made this, your home base. You're just when in doubt, turn back here.
Yeah.
This happens to so many actors. You are so not alone. That's why I know it. But that's why sometimes you're looking at the camera, because you keep turning to the side of frame and then coming back.
Mm-hmm, so it's no, of course.
And if the scene was, you just trying to ignore him the whole time at your locker, different story. Right?
Of course, but that's not the...
That's not the scene.
Exactly, no, yeah. For
sure. So, just, again, small technical thing. But the other reason why I stopped you is because, so really sit with this idea, right? We do not act questions, we expect answers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I mean by that?
We don't act questions, but we expect answers.
It's one of my favorite quotes in the work. If we do not act questions, we expect answers.
So, maybe, wait after you ask the first
question?
Thank
you! In life, when we ask people questions, we
you want an answer.
You want an answer, unless it's obviously rhetorical one.
Yeah, of course.
So, for example, what the little voice in your head, she's not actually asking. She's just sassing it up there, right?
Yeah.
But you give them an opportunity. So what? She do something to you? Say something. I'm not going to give you a line reading with it, but you can give me beats to answer.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just because you, the actor, know that he doesn't.
Yeah.
That you're acting through the questions instead of actually being hey, here's the question.
Sometimes I wish that auditions, you don't even have a script. You kind of just go with it.
Sure. And sometimes I like that actually you embrace improv because a lot of TV and film actors are scared of it because they're I need a script.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
And often they're
no, but that also makes sense.
It does, but I've been working on there's a comedy series casting right now, and all my actors are auditioning, and they're asking for 2 takes for every scene, and the first take is by the script, and the second is improv. Mm-hmm. So there are moments, and I will say, and this is somewhere that we're going to put our focus down the road, in terms of we talked about, there's no need to be word perfect. Mm-hmm. There are moments you can kind of improv within a line. Yeah, of course. Right? Yeah. Or they're saying a line, you're hey, you okay? And you're mm-hmm. You can throw in little moments.
Yeah, of course.
Just to loosen it up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so really give me an opportunity to answer there. Mm-hmm. And then follow up with these other questions the more that I'm not answering. Mm-hmm. And then when I really don't answer, that's when you crack down with the okay, I gave you a freaking chance. Yeah. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go from the same spot. Joe, please, it's me. I'm still the same boy. Okay. Okay? Good. And again, when you feel your body being tempted to come over here, don't judge it. Just come back. Yeah. Cool? Okay. Great. Joe, please, it's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Look, it's not as if I had a reason, okay?
What? The little voices in your head told you to do it?
I'm not so psycho. Come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone.
I know, you were a never Aunt Judith fan. So what? Did she say something to you? Do something? If you had a real reason, why didn't you tell it to the police?
Because I couldn't. I still can't. I can't tell anyone that ever. Can you just show me how to get to my next class? This place is like a giant maze.
Psychology with Miss Fisk. That's my next class too.
Oh, well, lead the way then. Okay. Just have fun with it. Trust that a working pass, why we work it like that, is now it's in your body, so you don't have to overthink it.
Okay.
Okay,
Just go with the flow.
Hey, sorry I had to run off before. I had to meet the principal, discuss my adjustment, and yes, it was as painful as it sounds.
I have to get to class, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Hey, is this yours? Any pictures of me in there? Sorry, I'm just a little nervous. Can't we just chat just for like a couple minutes?
Chat?
Mhm.
You want to chat? Okay. What should we chat about? Ooh, I know. What about my lost childhood? Or my journey into the wacky, delightful world of post-traumatic
I'm
stress?
sure it's been rough. I can't even begin to imagine.
No, you can't. You weren't here.
I try to stay in touch at first. Didn't you get any of my letters?
Yeah, they burned great.
Joe, please. It's me. I'm still the same boy you grew up with.
The boy that I grew up with wouldn't have hurt a fly.
Look, it's not as if I had a reason, okay?
What, the little voices in your head told you to do it?
I'm not some psycho. Come on, Joe, you know me better than anyone.
I know that you were never a big Aunt Judith fan. So what? Did she say something to you? Do something? If you had a real reason, why didn't you tell it to the police?
Because I couldn't. I still can't. I can't tell anyone that ever. Can you just show me how to get to my next class? This place is like a giant maze.
Psychology with Miss Fisk. That's my next class too.
Well, lead the way then. And
God, can you come with me to all my auditions and go through everything? That was insane.
That was so much better.
Oh my God.
And hopefully, because it didn't it's all I can speak to what it translated as.
Yeah.
You never at one point felt like you were acting.
No, it felt like real.
So that's the key thing. When people are like, I want to be in the scene. I'm like, okay, realistically, you're not always going to be in the scene. You know, like when you're filming on set, this has happened to me before, it's like overnight and it's like freaking, we live in Canada, so it's like -10, and then wardrobe has you in like some cute little thing, and you're like doing the scene, you're like, holy shit, my body's going to fall apart. Like, I'm going to die of hypothermia, right? Like, obviously you're not totally in the moment.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Or sometimes you're in an audition, like you can like, I don't know if I told you this, but like one time I was in a callback, it was like between me and one girl for like this huge role, and the casting director, out of the corner of my eye, she pulls out her cell phone and just starts texting in the middle of my audition. And like, of course, in that moment I was like, I suck. I was 15 out of 16, so I was like, it's just starting out, and I was like, oh my God, it's like all over for me. So there are moments where I'm like, I'm not a robot, you're not a robot. Like, you're gonna have moments where you disconnect. So it's like, what you just did, that's the ideal, which is where you were so in it that you weren't thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
Except for the person in front of you, the most important person in the scene, right? But sometimes things will happen, right? You might hear like a bang in this building, and you're like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
This is where I want to remind you, like, more connected moments than disconnected. So if you're ever to take, and it's not happening exactly like you just did, because that was brilliant, just, like, you know, if you hear a sound outside, you're like, oh, my mom's here to pick me up or something.
Yeah.
You just, like, hear it, and you're like, oh, that's not helpful. What do I need from you? And you just let it go.
Okay.
Or if you forget a line, you're like, line, it's like, cool, that doesn't matter, let it go.
Okay, and yeah.
Awesome. Let's do scene 1.
Okay.
We're going into this. Strong opening moment with an opinion in association with the physical choice.
Yeah.
Active listening. I have this big paragraph. So we just forgot it in the Danny take before I reminded you, but now you're reminded.
Yeah.
So just remember to put your focus there. And just remember to point everything towards your goal. Right? So if you're trying to figure out why she's talking to you, just like stay engaged in that. And sorry, 4 things. Just don't rush.
Yeah.
Again, especially because she throws you so off guard with this conversation. Like, you know, hey, how you holding up? You don't have to be like, okay, I guess you.
Yeah.
Would be different if it was like it was your current best friend.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, excited.
Hey. How you holding up?
Okay, I guess. You?
Okay. My mom's pissing me off. Danny coming back's the perfect excuse for her to bulldoze her way into my life, you know?
Yeah. My parents are trying to force me back into therapy, so.
Yikes, bummer. Hey, have you started having those dreams again?
Not really.
I am. He's always squeezing that yellow jump rope like it's part of him or something.
Red. It was a red jump rope, I think.
Look, I know you probably won't even care, and it's not your scene, but me and my friends are having this party tonight.
On a school night? You crazy kids.
Yeah, well, Regina's parents are going out of town, so we thought we'd throw a little Michael Myers goes to our school now, let's blow off some steam kind of shindig. Pretty much everyone's coming, so whatever, I don't care if you want to come, I guess you can.
Don't do me any favors.
That's not what I...
Look, it's not like I lie around wishing I could party with your lame, superficial friends anyway.
Fine. Then don't come. Ready?
Yes.
At the end, who leaves? You or me?
Me? No, she leaves. She leaves. Lacey leaves.
Yeah.
Lacey.
Well, technically, we turn and we see Danny, but that's crossed out, so I would play it like she leaves.
Yeah.
Me? I trail.
Okay.
So what
Okay,
it is just
leaving.
like, watch me go in this direction, like 3. 1, 2, 3, and then have a moment where you're by yourself dealing with being by yourself.
Yeah.
Because then it goes from the facade, like when we're in front of the people, even if we're trying to be ourselves, we're always kind of something else.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas when you're totally on your own, it's like you deal with that. Yeah?
Yeah.
That was actually a lot better. You still rush into your first line. I just want you to deal with the like,
What,
you can even look around, like, does she need to talk to someone else?
Okay, yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
The jump rope. So you know how you're like, you basically say you're not having the dreams, and then it very, very clearly comes out that you are, because you correct me, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's squeezing that yellow jump rope. You're like, it was red. And then you realize you've just admitted that you
Yeah,
lied.
they had to dreams, yeah.
So can you cover it up a bit more with the I think?
Uh-huh.
Because she's like, oh, it's yellow. And if you want to interrupt me once you hear yellow, you can.
Okay.
Because nothing else she says really affects your next line.
Yeah, okay.
Once you hear it, I would correct me, and then she's like, whoa. And then, like, I think, like, whatever, not a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Cool?
So probably, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so not rushing that first line, the jump rope. At the end, watch me leave. Only other thing, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but you can handle it. Remember that I trail off when I'm like, my friends are having this party tonight. And, like, just play that awkward beat of, like, she doesn't ask you, she just, like, stops.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you're the moment of, like, okay, on a school night? Like, what am I supposed to say to this? You know?
Yeah.
Cool. The scene should feel awkward because it is awkward.
Awkward, yeah.
Cool. As human beings, we avoid it, so when it feels awkward as the actor, we try to go fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the point of the scene. Hey, how you holding up?
Okay, I guess. You?
Oh, I'm okay. Yeah. My mom's pissing me off again. Danny coming back is the perfect excuse for her to bulldoze her way back into my life, you know?
Yeah. My parents are trying to force me back into therapy, so...
Yikes, bummer. Hey, have you started having those dreams again?
No. Not really.
I have. He's always squeezing that yellow jump rope.
Red. It was a red jump rope, I think.
Look, I know you probably won't even care. It's totally not your scene, but me and my friends are having a party tonight.
On a school night? Crazy kids.
Yeah, well, Regina's parents are out of town, so we thought we'd throw a little Michael Myers goes to our school now, let's blow off some steam kind of shindig. Pretty much everyone's coming, so whatever, I don't care. I mean, if you want to come, I guess you can.
Don't do me any favors.
That's not what I...
It's not like I lie around wishing I could party with your lame, superficial friends anyway.
Fine, then don't come.
Oh my god, this is
But
so
otherwise,
bad.
it's just something about having that opening moment over here that makes you want to come here. It's okay. It's like, it's something that, like, you're not necessarily going to tackle in one session, but, like, we'll just fix it over time.
Yeah.
Well, it might just be gone by the next session for all I know.
Okay.
It might take 2 sessions, right? It's not going to take 12, trust. Yeah?
Yeah.
That was much, much, much better. I think because it's not about, as much as we want to be perfectionists, it's not about mastering these scenes.
Of course, yeah.
Right? These are cast, they exist, they're out there. It's about learning from them and applying them to new material. That's how we grow as an actor, obviously, right? So I'm going to give you new material for next Sunday.
Okay.
So you can apply concepts moving forward. Obviously, like, I recorded everything, there's a million things to consider. And it's going to feel, like, totally fresh because it's your first new script with all these new tools. So, like, even finding a goal, that's something you've never done when you first got this material. Right?
Yeah, of course.
The biggest note I want you to remember is you just watch the moments that I told you to, like, take more time and find silence. You are taking beats. I'm not saying you're not. But there's still moments that I'm like, you can take way more time.
Yeah, okay.
Even in the middle of a line, I feel like sometimes when it's our line, we're like, I have to get this all out. But, like, for example, this line of therapy, like, yeah. And then you have to make a decision to, like, be like,
do I say something? Yeah.
a lot of people are like, well, I have to like get it out. What if they think I forgot my line? I'm like,
Yeah.
but they're never gonna think you forgot your line. Because that's why we put the word line in place.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I get that fear because it's like, well, I have to get it out. I
Yeah.
used to this fear as well. But then it's like, in a real audition, nobody would ever be like, hey, your line's this, unless
Until
you
you
say
say
the
mine.
magic.
Okay.
Yeah?
That's good to know.
In fact, if it looks like you forgot what you're going to say next, then you're doing your job right. Because
Okay.
in life, we never know what we're going to say next anyway.
Yeah. Of
Cool?
course. Yeah.
Really good work.